You all for coming. Welcome. State of the City address is something that all county officials and city chief executives, I guess is the way it's worded, right? We have to do at least once a year. Hopefully we're keeping you guys apprised and in the loop about priorities of the city along the way. Through city council meetings, through fiscal court meetings, and through other things. I always make sure that any elected official that's in the room, I was taught to do that, so I do want to acknowledge Judge Randy Taylor, our county judge executive, for being here, and also Brian Combs, our district one magistrate. So Brian almost in Brian's district, it's like Silver Creek at the edge of my property. It's on the other side of Silver Creek, I can be in Brian's, but I'm in Tom's. No offense to Tom, but appreciate both of y'all being here, and also Mackenzie Todd and Kurt Shockley from Congressman Barr's office. Anytime we can call on the congressman, he's always at the ready, and also Tony Terry, representing Sheriff Michael. So we appreciate you being here. Tommy, you ready back there? Just where you all know, if y'all want to get your good side, we are live streaming tonight, right? So we're going to live stream that out. Tommy, if you're ready to give me the thumbs up.
Ready to go.
And Tommy tried to train me on how to do the clicker. We'll see if it works or not. So we'll see how good the trainer Tommy is. But again, welcome. First, I want to start out with a thank you. I want to thank the Bridge Chamber of Commerce. Anytime I ask you guys to do anything, you're at the ready. We ask you to sponsor this again this year. And the Chamber was at the ready. As Shelley mentioned, all the cookies, the coffee, and all the things that are on the back table, the water were set out by members of the Bridge Chamber of Commerce. So we appreciate you guys doing that. Also, thanks to the Parks and Recreation staff. They came in to set up the room. Anytime I call on them, they always do a great job, and also our city staff, our Angels here, Aaron Boykin, police and fire. It seems like you guys are always doing the same. Who did the sound, Aaron? Was that you? So Aaron did the sound himself. So they're pretty doggone handy, things like that. So it's one of those true team efforts. And also thanks to all of you. Thank you for being here. It means a lot for you to be here to hear the state of the city in person. And it means a lot to me for all of you, friends, members of the business community, and elected officials. It means a lot to me for you all to be here for this. Because it takes a lot of time to prepare something like this does get regular. You got to practice a little bit if you want to be halfway good. I always start our state of the city, and let me back up this for a second, because I'm doing something different this time. This is the fifth one. Like I said, this is the second term, so I thought I want to try something just a little bit different. Usually, for those of you, Shelley, you'll remember I'm real scripted. I go right by the script, stick right to the script, right? This time I'm going to walk on the wild side a little bit. I'm going to do some bullet points and try to talk around it. Now, this might be good because we might get done pretty quick, but it could be a bad thing because I like to talk. So we'll see how that goes. I always like to start out with the financial state of the city, and I'll begin by saying that the city of Berea is in a strong financial position. This past year with our audit, we realized $2.5 million in revenue over our expenditures for fiscal year 2023, and that was actually while lowering the property tax rate. The other things that we did, we were able to increase our rainy day fund by $3.75 million. I'm sorry, increase it to 3.75. So we increased that significantly because of the good year that we had with the revenue that came to the city. And also we increased our capital sinking fund to $3.45 million. That's important because the rainy day fund, think about when COVID happened. 3.5 years ago. We didn't know if industries were going to be shutting down, if people were going to be able to pay their bills. We didn't know what was going to happen. That's exactly a severe economic downturn. That's exactly why you have a rainy day fund where you can continue to pay the city's bills in the event of a terrible emergency or something extraordinary. Luckily, we didn't have to do that. We didn't have to touch that in 2020. The capital sinking fund, I always wonder sinking fund, for some reason that doesn't really add up to me, but that's for a fire truck. We had Chief Salmon at a city council meeting, our last city council meeting, and he was talking about the next, I guess that was the ladder truck that was right. Whenever we replace the ladder truck, it's about $1.5 million. So that's what the capital sinking fund is for. A bucket truck with public works would be another good example of why, where would you use in capital sinking funds. So it's good to have those basically saved up when we're able to purchase the capital equipment that's necessary to provide services to all of you, our businesses and our citizens. And when I say that we're in a strong financial position, that includes all funds. The general fund, that's what provides your police, fire, public works, parks and recreation. But we also have a utilities fund. You have your municipal utilities with electric, water, and sewer through that big part of the program. And also our tourism fund. Our tourism fund is very healthy again this year and great management there. The reasons that we're in a strong position, number one is outstanding budgeting, and that begins with Rose Beverly, our city administrator, and Susan Neeks, our finance director, and all the department heads. They work so hard, guys. I can't explain to you all how hard they are, and that's not my forte. So I really rely on Rose and Susan and the department heads to plan out the year. You know, let's make a good budget that we can follow that will provide world-class services to the people who live here. Because that's my goal. I want to make sure that the services we provide to the citizens and the businesses here are as good as anywhere that you would go in the country. Also, conservative fiscal policy. You know, we're going to make sure that we use the public funds the right way. I'm committed to that and will continue to be that way. And keeping our expenses low, only spending funds that are absolutely necessary and that maintain or increase the level of services that go to the people that live here. And one other reason that we kind of finished strong this year, Susan Needs talked about this, there was a lot of increase in our occupational license fees, and that's based on employment. So increases in average wages, but also new jobs. We saw new job creation really over the last 5 years that we've probably never seen before. And hopefully we can keep that up, and it's a tall task. But again, increased jobs equals increased revenue, and that's what allows us to pay the bills, the salaries, the equipment to provide world-class services to the citizens of the area. I didn't see anybody give me a cutscene, so I must have passed the test on my first bullet point now. So we'll keep rolling here. And that kind of dovetails right into economic development. You guys know if you've been here to hear me before, one of the first things I talk about is the need to have a strong economic development program and a strong economic development policy. I would note that we had a highly successful year again with our economic development results, and the city of Berea is recognized on a statewide basis that people want to be like us. We're recognized as one of the best in class, is what one economic developer called the city of Berea with our economic development efforts over the years. And also we have a great economic development team. And I want to tell you a little bit about that. It's not Bruce, it's not just Donna, it's not just Rose, but I try to stay involved with anything to do with economic development in the city. That's something that I want to be personally involved in. Rose is my most trusted advisor, so anything to do with economic development, we're talking about it every day. Donna Angel, you guys know Donna. She's the best in the business. And Donna has been able to focus primarily on small business and medium-sized business, commercial type business, with input on anything that's larger with industrial manufacturing that we deal with. And I have a great advisor and a great confidant in Donna, and with her experience in particular, that is beyond anybody that I know. And what we want to do going forward with our economic development is have a balanced focus. The first thing is to help our existing business grow and succeed. I did a presentation for the High Street Hill folks, and I talked about when I was 11 years old, and all those people came from Danville, Illinois. Anybody about my age might remember that. To start staffing and showing members, and we had all the new kids at school, and brought in all kinds of new ideas, new people that became the new ball coaches, or the new Sunday school teachers, or the new scout leaders. They became leaders in our community and diversified our community and made it better for forever. So valuing those businesses that have been invested in our community, Nicer stays for 50 years now. The ones on Beatty Road, 30 plus years. So we have to value them first and try to help them succeed and grow. Other examples of expansions with our large business, Hitachi Astemo Americas is expanding, and their expansion was the second largest in the 9 Kentucky counties that make up the Bluegrass Alliance. They're creating 167 new jobs. That's the old Hitachi, or the bigger Hitachi. That used to be Tokico, for those of you who know that. And also job growth at Motor Wheel. Motor Wheel on Lakes Road had gotten down to around 30 employees, and they're now hiring up to 200. They're increasing that. Don and I were invited to the picnic, several of the tourism folks and the business development folks. But they were well on their way to meeting that and expected to meet that 200 without any problem by the end of this calendar year, which is coming right up. Those are a couple of examples. Hyster-Yale is another one, and EQI. EQI is a company that has counterweights that make them and paint them, and that's what's on the back of the forklift that Hyster makes, right? So that's an example of a Hyster-Yale supplier that moved to Berea, where that supply chain is cut down. And if you go out there now, it's on Ferristown Industrial Road, just past the middle school's ball fields. It was a speculative building. I told you guys about that last year for those of you who were here. That was under construction, and we were eager to see that get rented out. And it has been rented out to EQI, and we're looking forward to seeing them grow with Berea. Among others, I could give you all kinds of good examples of expansions and new activities that we've had in our large business, but also having a balanced approach with large business with the small business. Just some examples of grand openings and expansions: Blackberry Mac, Orthodontics, Madison Pediatric Dentistry, Citizens Bank, Parsons Counseling, and I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Just Love Coffee. So they also opened up, but those are examples of small businesses that opened within the last year and a half that add so much to our community. These are our entrepreneurs and our folks that are local and they've got skin in the game. So we're grateful for all of them, and we try to keep our attention balanced among those. I would also be remiss if I didn't mention our Berea Industrial Development Authority. We have 5 people and myself that serve on that. Properties that we're working on right now, there's a 21-acre rail service site between Kentucky Steel and Novellis, around the Novellis, at your neighbor. But there's a 21-acre rail site there that we've got a lot of interest in. It's pretty much ready to go. And then there's an 87-acre industrial park expansion that y'all have heard me talk about before. It's at the end of Mabee Road, and it runs all the way out to Memphis. The good thing about that is we have a development plan for that now with 7 tracks. The largest of those tracks is 35 acres, and the smallest is about 2.5 acres. We can do anything from warehousing to large industry. And the next bullet that I have on there is a Kentucky Product Development Initiative success story. On that lot 7, we're constructing a 150,000 square foot building pad. It'll be build ready where industry can come in. Utilities are there, the ground's clear, the ground's leveled out, it's all ready to go. So we almost have that finished, and that was because we were able to get a grant from the Kentucky Economic Development Fund for up to $500,000. That was done, the pilot of that, so we're looked to again as an example on how to do economic development, and being able to use those funds helped us a lot. We're using some state grant funds in order to make a place ready for new industry. Again, great interest in all of our industrial property. We also have the remaining land. There's about 300 acres left on the Memphis Industrial Park. Some of that's not real suitable for industry. There's some of it's in the floodplain down by the wastewater treatment plant in Silver Creek. But there are still several tracks that are probably 3 to 10 acres that we think we can work with in that particular parcel. I also put at the bottom workforce, because what we're hearing, Judge Taylor and I, we talk about it today. You know, Rose and I talk about it every day. Don and I talk about it all the time. The number one issue for new industry is workforce, and we're really well positioned here in Berea and really in Madison County as far as I'm concerned with workforce. And there's several things I want to call your attention to. One, we have a partnership with the Kentucky Career Center. Rolando Thacker lives in Purcell, and he went to Berea Community, if I'm not mistaken, Donna, and we've worked very closely with him. So what Donna and her team do is that let's use the Motor Wheel, for instance. When they're trying to hire from 30 to 200, you know, how do you get there? That's a lot of people you got to find where there's not a lot of people out there receiving jobs. Well, Donna and her team will have a job fair in this building or at City Hall or somewhere, and we'll help them to advertise, to help them fill those positions. And Rolando has been key. I think he works in the Bluegrass Area Development District and also some state funding to help us with our workforce. The Ignite Academy, and I should have put Ignite Academies because you do have Ignite North and Ignite South. If you guys have not been to see Ignite South, they'll give you a tour. You need to go see. The kids are fired up. They see that they have a future. They have hope. It's really cool when you go in and you talk with the students about their experience, whether they're in marketing or some of the positions that our industry really needed, like welding, like industrial maintenance. Around you guys can't find industrial maintenance, that's hard to come by. But those students are being trained to do those jobs, and when they get out of school at 18 to 19, they're job ready and ready to go to work. In fact, I know Donna, didn't we place 10 people last year out of that first graduating class at the Ignite Academy in local industry. And that gives me hope for our future workforce. We also have the Bluegrass Army, I spelled that wrong, sorry guys. I wrote this thing 3 times. Bluegrass Army Depot transition. There are 1,400 contract employees on the Bluegrass Army Depot, and they're good employees. They're people that come to work, pass the drug test, otherwise they would not be working on an Army Depot with a judge. So we are really excited to see how those folks can transition into the local economy, because that process has been going on for 30 years, and those people, most of them, have made a life here. They've raised their family, they've got their kids in school, and they want to stay. So we did an economic resiliency study through the Bluegrass Area Development District. We met over in Judge Taylor's office for the better part of a year, and we actually looked at how can we retain and help assist those people getting into local industry, and also what other local industry can we attract that might be suitable for people with those types of skills. So that's a whole workforce of 1,400 people that most people don't have. So that gives me hope for our workforce. So my conclusion is we're well positioned from a workforce perspective, and that's countywide. That's not just Berea. That's Berea, Richmond, and Madison County. And we'll get into that, the need to collaborate a little bit more shortly. Actually, I got everything right in my next slide to touch, so I could have dusted off some judges' slide on this one. But this is something I'm really excited about. The first thing I want to tell you about is the Bluegrass Alliance Regional Competitiveness Plan. This is being led by Commerce Lexington, which is essentially the Chamber of Commerce for Lexington, Fayetteville, and County government, I guess. So you know about Commerce Lexington. It includes business leaders. Those are from businesses like Central Bank to Toyota, a lot of your bigger industry in Lexington and Central Kentucky as a whole. It includes community leaders, people from educational institutions, people from medical institutions, and also governmental leaders. And the thing that really surprised me is I kind of thought most of this was government people trying to think, how can we work together better as a region instead of all of us trying to work individually. And we went to a summit in Lexington a couple of weeks ago, and they asked all the elected officials to stand up. And probably there were only about 20, and there were 200 people in the room. So most of the funding for this particular project is being done by the private industry and private individuals and not government. But Berea, Madison County, and Richmond have all committed to have skin in the game and to help with this regional competitiveness plan. So I'm pleased to be part of that. And again, it's a 9-county area that focuses on recruiting workforce and also recruiting new business and helping existing business within our 9-county footprint to expand. The 9-county area is Fayette County, all the counties that touch Fayette County, plus Franklin and Montgomery. So those are your 9 counties. So I'm really encouraged about that. I think that that's going to help us compete as a region instead of just Berea trying to compete as Berea to drive our industry here. We're part of something bigger. What I would tell you about that is that we're no longer competing against Richmond or Winchester. We're competing on a statewide, a nationwide, even at the international basis against other people that want to attract the same industries that we want to attract. So the bottom line is we got to get together and market ourselves as a region, and that's what the Bluegrass Alliance Competitiveness Plan is intended to do. The other thing, the thing that I'm probably the most excited about in economic development is a regional economic development initiative to build a regional industrial park. I mentioned earlier that Berea got Kentucky Product Development Initiative grant to build a build-ready site. That was up to $500,000. That was in the pilot phase of the Kentucky Product Development Initiative. And when I say product, from an economic development perspective, they want to make sure that we have sites that we can market. That's the product that we're trying to market, right? So this year, for this cycle, they changed things up a little bit, and they made each county was eligible for $2 million, up to $2 million, regardless of their size. So what we decided first in Madison County is that we would pool that money together. We would say, hey, Judge, you keep X amount, we're going to take this amount, we're going to take that amount. We need to pool it and work together as a team, as with the three governments. And then that kind of spread a little bit, and we talked to Judge Covington in Scott County, who's a close friend of Judge Taylor's. And he was like, what do you think about doing a regional something with two counties together? Let's think big on this. Let's not think like we always thought. Judge Covington was interested. He talked to the mayor of Georgetown, Bernie Jenkins, who we've got to be friends with. It's a brand new mayor, and Mayor Jenkins was all in. He's like, yeah, I would love to do something like that. He's an old ball player and referee, so he knows about teamwork. So Bernie was in. And then we went to Lexington to Fayette Urban County government a couple of months ago, 3 months ago now, and presented to Mayor Gordon and her chief advisors and told them what we were wanting to do. And they decided that they wanted to participate too. So you have Lexington, Fayette Urban County government, Madison County, Scott County, City of Richmond, City of Briggs, City of Georgetown, working together to leverage the $2 million per county, remember. So that'd be a total of $6 million that we're potentially eligible for to develop a regional industrial park. And we're looking for the announcements to come out on that by the end of this month. So that just leaves a couple of weeks, and I'll be really surprised if our system is chosen, because the people of Frankfort love it. They love our application. I've heard from many people in the economic development inner circle that are really happy to see this come about. So stay tuned on that, but I think that the regional economic cooperative collaboration, that was the theme of Judge Taylor's presentation. That's the way of the future. That's how we're going to be able to compete on a nationwide or on a worldwide stage when it comes to economic development and drawing good industries with good paying jobs. Tourism development. One of the things that Donna and I talked about quite a bit was focusing more on conferences and conventions, because when you think about Berea tourism, you think about the tourism piece, and just trying to get people to come. But the tourism commission is called the Berea Tourist and Convention. So that convention piece was something that we really hadn't gotten into as much as just the regular tour. We're trying to get people to come and visit Berea for many different reasons. But here are some examples of groups that have come to Berea to convene, to have their meetings. There was a Kentucky Bicycle Commission. There was a Kentucky Senate caucus of one of the parties. There was a Kentucky House caucus of one of the parties that came. They were just here. There was leadership Madison County who were, geez, Shelley, this part of Chamber 2, but there were 30 or so people in that, at least. And also leadership Central Kentucky. When we bring big groups in like that, and they come and they stay in our hotels, eat in our restaurants, it helps all of our small business, and hotels and restaurants in particular. So that's something that Donna and her team have done a really good job with, and we're trying to delve in more and more on how can we attract that convention and tourism business. One of the ways that we're doing that is renovations of the toll building next to the Chestnut Street Pavilion. The toll building in the back, when we get done, Donna, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we'll be able to host about 80 people in one space in the back to have meetings, conferences, conventions right there in the toll building in that beautiful building, and also be an art gallery. So it'll be pleasing to the eye, aesthetically pleasing as well as a good place to meet, with ample parking in the pavilion area. So that's something that we're doing. One thing that I'll mention is that Boone Tavern and Berea College and the Berea College Trace have done a great job with attracting all these different conferences. And when we talk to them, they can't accommodate all the requests that they have. So what we're hoping is that when they have overflow, that they'll send them to the city, and we'll be able to accommodate people, to get people to come here, stay in the hotels, eat in the restaurants, shop in your businesses. And then when the city has more requests that we can accommodate, we can refer them to the college. So that's a way that we'll work collaboratively with Berea College and the Boone Tavern. A couple other priorities in tourism development. that are coming up are the Lip Street Shared Use Trail. We're kind of getting down to the end of that. That got put on hold during COVID. It does involve federal funding, but the Lip Street Shared Use Trail will replace the little sidewalk that was there from the time I was in the second grade, same sidewalk. It goes from Walnut Meadow Road to Richmond Road. So that'll provide connectivity, if you think about it, from the Artisan Trail and from the community school all the way over to the new shared use trail on US 25 that goes all the way out to the bypass, all the way down the bypass and all the way up to the Pinnacles. So that's a real key piece to get to our trail system for connectivity. The other one is the Scaffold Canyon Shared Use Trail, and we do have grant funding for that, but it'll come later. That'll be completed after the Lip Street Shared Use Trail, after we've gotten that done. And that's something that's been needed forever. You know, if you guys, if any of you ever walked Scaffold Canyon Road from Elm Street up to the Alumni Building, it's scary. And you know, I did that as a kid, had to do it a lot. Just getting over that bridge is pretty tight. So we're looking forward to that. But one of the things that our Tourism Commission and Donna, as the Director of Business and Tourism Development, have been doing is investing tourism funds in ways that provide new activities for all of our local citizens while also attracting people to visit our city. So we're looking forward to continuing to do that into the future, kind of get more bang for your buck that way. Wanted to talk with you a little bit about affordable housing. Our housing stock in Berea is low, Berea is high. You know, our economy is growing, but as our economy grows, the demand for residences, whether it's apartments or single-family homes for purchase, the demand for that is really high, and that makes our stock a little low. One of the things that Amanda Haney, our Codes and Planning Administrator, and Rose and I are looking at is, and his team, is our land management development ordinance. I won't spell it off, I probably should have. LMDO is Land Management Development Ordinance. That's how we're going to grow as a city. What are our plans and how are we going to do that in a smart way? And what we're looking at is we're wanting to make sure that our land management development ordinance is as development friendly as possible, business friendly, and more citizen centered. You know, what makes sense? Does it really make sense for us to require a 100-foot wide lot? What if we provided an 80-foot lot? In the subdivision, judge, your developer gives you 20% more lots, right? Gives you more housing. So those are the types of things that we're looking at and try to do that in a common sense way. That will also dovetail into the comprehensive plan, which really guides us for 5 years at a time. We're required to do a comprehensive plan every 5 years, and our next one is due in January of 2025. Also, I mentioned that Rose and Amanda Haney and I went to a presentation today on housing and affordable housing. This isn't something that's unique to Berea. It's a situation all across the country, but this is with the Bluegrass Area Development District, and there are 15 to 17 counties, I think. And you have people from all those counties talking about what can we do together collaboratively to increase our housing stock and to create more affordable housing, because I do have a theory. Right now, all these industries that are looking for a new home, where are they going to expand? Where are they going to create jobs? What do you think they're looking for? Affordable housing. Can we get people? If we get people, is there affordable housing there? Show me. That's what they want to know. So all these things tie together, and I think that's important for you all as businesses and citizens to know. And hopefully you'll be able to help with that affordable housing down the road. One other thing I wanted to talk with you about is city infrastructure. Most recent success is restoring funding and finally getting the bypass completed. So I'm real tickled with that. But I hope that you guys have all driven on that. When you look at the history of it, it went back to 1981 when our second mayor, Mayor Hensley, had passed away. Dr. Kirby was sworn in as the third mayor of Berea. And somebody from the Chamber of Commerce, a group from the Chamber, came to a city council meeting, this is in the minutes, and suggested a new road that would encircle Berea and to name it the CCNC Highway. So it goes back to 1981, the concept. As you know, the funding for that had fallen off. Two people from the Chamber, David Rowlett and Jennifer Napier, went with me and Jim Davis to Frankfurt to meet with the governor's chief of staff, transportation secretary, and we met in Senator Carpenter's office to get that funding restored. We went on Friday and on Monday, the funding was restored, 20 million. We went from 0 to 20 million. That's what it takes. You have to be present to win, don't you, Judge? You got to show up and let people know what you need. Another big priority for us was working with the state to get US 25 resurfaced. And as you guys know, hopefully you can remember how bad it was, but they actually went all the way from Paint Lake Road across the interstate and all the way down to the US 25 North project stopped near Olymp Street. So it's nice to have that, our main segment of street, brand new. And our city streets over the past year, we repaved or resurfaced, I should say, about 3 times what we normally did. This was last year. So part of that was from our the COVID funds, the ARPA, American Rescue Plan funds. We put about $900,000 into street resurfacing because we thought that would be a good investment for our citizens in our community. So we're real happy that we were able to do that. We also have a capital improvement plan, and we really never had one. You know, when it comes time to resurface streets, you have a group that go look around and you kind of figure out, well, we think this one, this one, and this one, and you put your heads together and come up with a plan. Our public works committee did that. And I'm going to have, we're going to talk about that a little bit more in just a minute, so I'll move down to the next. Another priority that I've had is a second way in and out of Dixie Park and Roselawn. Ton of houses in Dixie Park and Roselawn. If you guys have ever lived there, have friends there, you try to get in and out. You've got 1016, Lakes Road, North Path, that all come together right there, and it's a mess. The thing that's always worried me as a public official, what happened if there was a tragedy, an emergency, or a natural disaster? You just got that one way in and out, and nobody can get out. So we're working with our engineers right now, and we have what we think is a viable way to create a second entrance and exit into Dixie Park and Roselawn. And hopefully we'll be able to get that revealed within the next 6 months. Also, another priority when you look at city infrastructure, you can't forget about our sewer and water. Streets are a key piece, but your sewer and water are as well. Over the past year, we completed the South Middletown Frontline project. That was the first year I was there. We had $1 million grant to do this. It created a force main and prepared a sanitary sewer system greatly. We also have 2 projects that we're going to be doing, hopefully getting started on the next year. Rushy Fork Sanitary Sewer Project, we received $588,000 in grant funding for that. And then the Kentucky 595 pump station, which is another force mains rehabilitation project that's just short of $1 million. So those are state funds, which are state tax dollars that you guys pay that we brought back to Berea. So it's important to make sure that we do that, to bring those tax dollars back home. Other key infrastructure priorities, and these should actually be scooted back to the left. I don't know why I haven't intended. Alza Fork Reservoir, we talk about that all the time. We're at 90% design, and Kevin is optimistic that we'll be able to put that out for bid, raise the dam by 7 feet, increase our water supply from 700 million gallons to 1 billion gallons, which will secure our water source for the next 50 to 75 years with no problem. And a lot of thanks go to Congressman Barr, because when I first came on council, we were stuck. This is something that's been worked on since 1988. I don't think I ever told you that, McKinsey. But I called some of McKinsey's predecessors and Craig's predecessors and said, this is the situation we have. It's with the federal agency. We couldn't get through the Corps of Engineers to do this project, and we need help. And it was not very long that we got the help we needed from the congressman, and we got approval from them. We're now working with NRCS, which is, I forget exactly what it is, it's part of USDA, to get the final approval on that. It's to make sure you don't have any cultural and natural resource issues by raising the dam. So we're about to the end of that process, ready to go to bid, and hopefully construction soon. Parks Master Plan, we're funneling about $1 million of ARPA, which is the COVID grant funds, to park improvement. We think that's important for children and adults alike. That's one of the things the city should be doing, is providing more park space and recreational opportunities. And also I want to mention with our infrastructure, the success of the Silver Creek Mountain Bike Park, to the Dog Park and Boone Crest Trail. Those are three small parks that are used directly. Kentucky Mountain Bike Association, every other month they're down having a clinic or doing something at the mountain bike park. And that, if you go down on a Saturday or Sunday when it's nice, there's always a crowd there using it. Again, that's one of those projects that tourism paid for. Local people, adults and children can use the bike trail, but it also attracts tourism to town, which serves that dual purpose. One of the things that we need infrastructure-wise as well is the need for more athletic fields. All of our youth athletic programs are expanding, but in particular soccer. We have a real need for more soccer fields, and we're using every bit of space that we have. So that's something that we're going to be looking at over the next year. I told you we'd talk a little bit more about collaboration and participation on a regional and statewide basis, and really that starts at home. We've got to collaborate and work together with our own city council, with you guys, with our Chamber of Commerce and our business community, with our public school systems, and with the college. If you look at all of us here at home, if you look at that, what's good for one of us is generally good for all of us. It's in our best interest to collaborate and work together. And that's my style, what I try to do. But that also extends to collaboration with the city of Richmond and Madison County government. And Judge Taylor will tell you 5 years ago, it wasn't long after I was sworn in, Judge Taylor calls and says, hey, why don't we get together and have coffee? And we did that on a regular basis. But in the past, I think relations between two cities and the county were kind of stovepipe. Everybody kind of kept to themselves, not because it was anybody's fault, it just wasn't a lot of communication. But we kind of broke that tradition for the good, and we've stayed closely connected for 5 years now with the city of Richmond, Madison County, and Maria. We look forward to continuing that relationship. I mentioned Commerce Lexington. We got to think outside of just the local environment and looking at, on a regional basis, what can we do to make Central Kentucky stronger, which will in turn make Maria and Madison County stronger. EKU is a valuable resource. It's my alma mater. So how can we work with them with their economic development, their career placement folks, to help with our workforce issues and other things. I mentioned Bluegrass Alliance and Commerce Lexington. Actually duplicate that. That's my second time I found. And more active presence in Frankfort. I can't stress to you, the bypass is a good example. I can't stress to you how important it is for local government officials to be in Frankfort, whether it's on the county level, judge, or Brian, or whether it's with me. There's a whole saying that the squeaky wheel gets the grease. I'm the squeaky wheel, so I keep it good squeaky. Also, the Bluegrass Area Development District, the area development districts were created for the betterment of the people and local government in different areas, and ours is 15, 16 counties. I do serve on the board of directors for that. I try to maintain an active role. I'm chairing the Regional Transportation Committee. That's important because it gives you insight into opportunities that are available and also puts you in contact with Kentucky Transportation Cabinet officials and others that you really need to work with in order to make our own state highways better. And also the Kentucky League of Cities. I've been involved with them since I became mayor, and again, that exposes me and helps the city, exposes me to opportunities that we may not otherwise know about. A couple other key priorities. When I acknowledge George White's here, George comes every time. I think you've been to every state of the city. George is chairman of our airport board. That's one of our most valuable resources in the county, and it's probably the best example of the county and the two cities, and now EKU working together for the common good. We do have the Appalachian Regional Commission grant that will help us run water and sewer there. We're still on the septic system at the airport. So we'll be doing that hopefully this coming year. George, and it's been a long time coming, but we're getting here. We got the money for it. We do have a loan, and there's a way that bringing the hangars, the airport board can repay that loan where it doesn't cost anything to the three governments to run the water and sewer lines out there. It also involves EKU, and it's really critical for the continued growth and expansion of EKU's aviation program. And I'm telling you, those young people coming out of the aviation program, they can have any job they want. Aviation. That's very much in demand, so we're happy to see that grow. And another thing I'll mention to you is there was a congressional earmark for the terminal building, which was again through Congressman Barr, 6th District Congressman. That will be a terminal building that's really part of EKU. They'll be building it. The funding goes to EKU, and by them being a part owner of the airport now, along with the 3 governments, they can invest and make capital investments in the airport, which will benefit everyone. The other key priority for 2024 is Berea Municipal Utilities to purchase power. This is on our wholesale electricity. We have our own BMU electric, but we have to go out and purchase that on a wholesale basis. Get it to Berea and then get it to our customers. So we're right at the end of that process, and we'll have a new agreement in place by May of 2024. So we're working as hard as we can to make sure that we do the best job that we can to secure wholesale electric power that's reliable, considering good cost, and also minimum risk to the customer, to the owners, which are all of you. So Rose is on that team, Kevin and others, and Kevin Howard and others. So that's something that's been a priority for us for a couple of years now that we're about to come to a conclusion on. I think this is my second to last slide. If y'all get bored, I hope you're not getting bored. I took this to the file. City government, the way I look at it, and county government, I think it's the same. We're in the quality of life business. You think about it, what should city government do? City government is all you guys. You elect us, we need to represent you and make sure the citizens that live here, adults, children, businesses, that they get world-class service. And we do in the city of Berea have a strong group of dedicated public servants. One of the most visible that you see are our police and fire department. They're always out. When you see Eric walking out in his uniform, you know he's a police officer, right? But some of the ones that you may not think about as much are our public works team. If you see somebody out patching a pothole on your street or fixing a sidewalk, that's our public works team. This winter, when we get a snow on and the salt truck comes down, that's our public work guys out working for you, working to make the city safer and make your quality of life better. Codes and planning, you know, that's critical for planning on how we're going to grow in the future, but also safety of buildings. George does inspections on the side, and you know not every building is built the same, but our codes are in place to make sure that buildings are safe for people to occupy, to live in, or to work in. Business and tourism development, I've already talked about Donna, but it's so critical. But all these things, you can see that they work together. Finance, Susan Meeks does an outstanding job. I mentioned her earlier, working with the budget with Rose, but also making sure that all the occupational licenses and all that are accounted for, and we're doing things the right way. Our utilities department, they do a fantastic job, and that's probably the biggest department outside the police, I think, Rose, if I'm not mistaken. But again, you have electric, water, and sewer that those guys have to maintain, and they do a fantastic job. Information technology, Tommy, back in the back, that's getting things done. And Daniel, we have, when I tell people with the city our size, we have ITT, many people do you have? We have 2. How do you get all that done with 2 people? So we got the best 2 of the business. So that's Tommy and Daniel, and also our administration team. That's Robin. Robin's here. Robin Adams, our city clerk. Jennifer Renfro, our human resources manager. And of course, Rose, my right-hand person in the mix of that team. So we're proud to have all of them. And it also includes our boards and commissions, many of which some of you are on. One thing I'll mention about these are the people that make quality of life better for all of us. One thing I'll mention about all those folks is we did have a pay and classification, pay and compensation study this year, and we haven't had one done in 12 years. So when Rose came in as a city administrator, she said, you're really supposed to do that every few years. So we're going to talk about that in just a minute. And then the last thing that I'll say is that none of us can do our job without our city council. City council provides the departments and employees with the resources they need to provide world-class services to the citizens of our city and our business community. And before I go to the last slide, I want to do one other thing. I told you this is something I've never done before. The other thing I don't think has ever been done in the state of the county or state of the city addressed by me, Mayor Wise, or Judge Taylor, is to have somebody to help us. So I mentioned my right-hand person, Rose Beverly, and when Rose came in, she came with experience as an elected official. She had that. She's also been a city administrator in another city. So she brought in some of these ideas, and I wanted her to tell you just a little bit about the capital improvement plan, which I thought was great, and she can tell the story better than I can. And then also our pay classification study, kind of how that came about and how that helps us with our employees. Rose, would you mind just taking a few minutes?
Thank you, Mayor Fraley. I'm really happy to be here tonight and get to share in the State of the City address. As Mayor Fraley said, you come into a new town and I got to learn a lot from everybody here, as well as share some of the knowledge that I had. So one of the things I thought was really important was to work on a capital improvement plan for our streets. There are over 290 streets in the city of Berea, over 112 miles of streets that we have to take care of. And we get in from the state about $300,000 a year to take care of those streets. And I think you could probably do the math and know that is not enough money. So we have to be creative. We have to work really hard to make sure that we're putting the money in the best places that we can. And one of the ways to do that is a capital improvement plan. And our engineers helped us to do that. And luckily got the support from the council and the mayor to get that done. And they went out and they graded every single street in the city of Berea. They went to each one of them and they used standards to grade them and say, what shape they were in. Basically, we have low, medium, or they need help fast. So, so now when people come into us and say, I have a really bad street, we can look at it and make sure that it's on the plan in the right place, and we can prioritize those streets as that money comes in and make sure that we're getting those ones that we have them color coded as red. We're making sure that we're putting them at the top of the priority list. And what you find in a city sometimes is that the city streets that need help the most, sometimes we don't know because we don't make it to every street. We can't drive all of those all the time. And we just don't notice, or they're covered in snow when they are out there. So having this kind of plan helps us a lot and make sure that those people, they're not complaining, but their street may be the worst one, and we're getting those done and having those prioritized. And it also helps us to budget, because we know what we need to get done and when we need to do it. And I like to say, thank you to the mayor and the council for supporting that. I think that'll help us a lot to plan better for our future, which is what we're in the business of doing all the time, is to make sure that we're planning very carefully and we're spending our taxpayer money that we're collecting very wisely. So the other thing that the council was able, and the mayor was supporting me doing, that I brought in, was that pay and compensation study. As the mayor said, it's been about 12 years since we had that done. And it's really important to do that. I think you all know that in the climate that we're in right now, in order to provide you those top-notch services that you guys expect and we should be providing, we need really good staff. And we need to make sure that we're keeping our staff and that we're supporting them and that we can attract them in when we need to hire somebody, or if somebody retires or moves on. So one of the best ways that we do that as a city is to do a study to make sure that we're competitive and we're having our wages are competitive. And we also have a scale that we use to move people through. And we were able to get that pay and compensation study done this year. And the mayor and the council supported us in that. And so now we'll be incorporating that into how we run our staff, and that when they move up in the scale, they get compensated for that. Because some people, if you're not paying attention, will get left behind, and we definitely don't want to do that. So I think, when I got here, I noticed that there were some inequities with staff pay, but overall I think they've done a really good job, and we were able to just sort of even all of that out. And I just want to say thank you to them for supporting us in that, so that we can keep the best staff that we have and continue to give the top-notch services that we hope to provide. And that's all I have on those things. Thank you very much. And you know what, can I just add one thing really quick? Okay, I won't keep you guys here much longer, but I will say this. When we're looking at coming in $2.5 million over revenues over expenditures this year, that doesn't happen by accident. That actually takes a lot of work. And I will say that we probably have, if not the best, one of the best mayors in the state of Kentucky. This man is going out and working hard every single day for this community. And it takes a lot of work and attracting those businesses in that industry. That is what is helping us to have the money that we need to make the improvements and keep the city going, because most of the cities in the country right now are facing serious shortfalls due to inflation, and the city of Berea isn't. And there's only one reason why that is, and that's because of hard work. Between all the work that Donna's doing and the mayor's doing and Lucas Witt, our advisor's doing, that is why. And so I'm really proud to be part of this team, so I just want to say thank you, and thank you for allowing me to come up here and present.
Again, Rose is my right-hand person. That's something that has never been done. Rose was like, I'm not so sure about that. I think people need to hear from you. So I wanted all of you to see her, to hear from her, and to know how hard she works for all of us too. Rose, thanks for those kind words. Rose said earlier today, I'll share with you a little bit. She said, we hustle, and we do hustle. I'm now trying to do economic development. I keep Rose playing baseball. Head first, all out. So we're gonna keep doing that. Keep hopefully having wins for our city. But again, Rose, thank you. I appreciate you taking time to brief on that. And on those two particular topics in particular, she's the expert. She's the one who got it done. For the conclusion, the moment you've all been waiting for. The future is bright for the city of Berea, including all of our citizens and our businesses that call our town home. My personal commitment to all of you is to continuous improvement in everything that we do. Because there's an old saying that no matter how good you are or how good you do, you can always do better. I'm going to work hard on your behalf, and I will continue to treat everyone I encounter with courtesy, dignity, and respect. And remember that our strength is in each other. And I'll conclude by saying thank you all for being here. And may God bless our little town, Berea, Kentucky, and Madison County. Thank you all very much. I put Shelley on the spot. Remember that tower of cookies from Berea, Kentucky.
Thank you all for coming tonight. We want to thank the mayor for all of his kind words, and please have coffee, water, and cookies back there before you leave. And I appreciate your attendance tonight. Thank you all very much.